Okay, next I would like to introduce Lieutenant Governor Eric Holcomb, a lifelong Hoosier. He is a veteran of the United States Navy, was trusted advisor of both Mitch McConnell and Senator Dan Coates, and a former state chairman of the Indiana Republican Party. Eric was a key member in Mitch Daniels' administration, holding various positions from campaign kickoff in 2003 until the governor left in 2011. These include serving as Deputy Chief of Staff in the official office, managing the governor's landslide victory in 2008, overseeing the governor's state political action committee, aiming higher. He is nominated to serve as Lieutenant Governor by Governor Mike Pence in 2016. He was confirmed by the General Assembly and sworn into office March 3rd, 2016. On July 15th, 2016, following Governor Pence's withdrawal from the ballot, he joined the race for governor. Throughout his career in public and political experience, Eric has earned the reputation of being a consensus builder. He has traveled extensively around the state to build support for various initiatives, including but not limited to Indiana's property tax caps and major moves. As Lieutenant Governor, Eric oversees very diversified portfolio that includes Indiana State Department of Agriculture, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, and Office of Defense, and Community Rural Affairs, Office of Tourism Development, Office of Small Business, Entrepreneur. He serves as Chairman of Indiana Counterterrorism and Safety Council, President of Indiana State Senate, where he presides over the chamber during each of the legislative sessions. Please welcome Lieutenant Governor Eric Holcomb.
Thank you, sir, for that introduction, and most importantly, for the invitation to be with you all here today. Good morning, one and all. How are you all doing? How are the rest of you all doing? Yeah, saw a little. Well, if you flipped on the news lately, perhaps you've too seen what a historic 2016 election year this has been, and to think we still have 6 weeks left. If you would have asked me a year ago if I would have been standing right here with you all this morning, I of course would have answered honestly and said no. But I learned long ago in the United States Navy that you come to expect the unexpected and to always be ready to answer the next call. And I believe that that is the case with the issue that brings us all here together this morning, education, and how it affects student destinies and ultimately contributes mightily toward the state's overall well-being. So I want to start by appropriately thanking each and every one of you for answering a call to service, each in your own way. Whether as a superintendent or as a school board member or as lieutenant governor, we all have an obligation to the future generations to prepare them for a life that they will find themselves in, a global economy that gets more and more competitive and interconnected by the day. Last week, I introduced the first part of my Taking Indiana to the Next Level plan, which focused on economic development in our state, and today I want to introduce to you the second part of the plan, the part focused specifically on education and workforce development and how they are linked and absolutely critical to continuing Indiana's forward momentum. What I learned over the years, especially in these last 12 years in public service, is that anyone can come up with a plan, a lesson plan, so to speak. But the difference is, and that's just the easy part, but the difference is what's in that plan and how do you execute it. So please know that this plan is meant to be much more than words on a paper. It's really much more of a to-do list for me. At least that's how I see it. It's a list of action items that will help guide me, that I will personally work with the General Assembly on how to make sure these ideas become more than just talking points, that they are in fact realized. And you should also know that I'm not blind to the issues and challenges that you and your teammates face each and every day. And I will seek your insights and your experiences that will also instruct this plan. I understand the demands of your particular call to service and the passion and the energy and the drive that you have in shaping the lives of our students in your respective and different districts, no matter what your title is. That's why this particular plan takes a holistic approach to education, because I believe that Hoosier students can finish first, as I'm sure you do as well, and many of them are that we can cite. And I will seek to be the absolute best partner I can be as governor with anyone and everyone who also seeks the same and works toward that central goal, including administrators and teachers and parents and the students themselves. Your entire community is full of public servants who deserve to be treated with respect and as the professionals and role models as you all are. Now, I know I'm not alone on this, but to this day I can see the names of so many of my teachers and administrators from grade school all the way up through college, not because I have some steel trap memory, but because of the profound impact each of them had on my life. I guarantee you I would not be standing here, but for in large part because of them. And I'm thankful to them. I'm as thankful to them as they share they are proud of me. One of them, by the way, was my mom. Not only is she a retired public school teacher, but for a time she was my teacher too. That's when I first learned firsthand that life is not always fair. It is not lost on me that while I may be the only one seeking or serving in statewide office, so many of my classmates have become leaders in their own respective communities: entrepreneurs, physicians, attorneys, electricians, contractors, businessmen and women, and so on and so on. Because of the entire Pike Township School Corporation staff, top to bottom, I'm proud to be a Pike Red Devil. So with so much good going on, how do we take Indiana to that next level that I alluded to at the outset? Well, here's my plan in the most succinct way possible. My education plan aims to, 1, ensure every Hoosier child has access to exceptional early education and a safe, student-driven learning environment. 2, every high schooler is ready to enter the workforce or pursue a higher education. And 3, every out-of-work adult can retrain and develop the skills necessary in the 21st century economy we find ourselves competing in. My approach going forward is a layered approach that starts at the beginning, because that's where we can get every Hoosier child on a positive path first that will ultimately lead to that fulfilling life. That's why I'm committed to responsibly expanding Indiana's first ever state-funded early education program, pre-K, specifically to those who have the greatest financial need. I want to start by moving the children that are trapped at the back of the line to the front. I'm all in for pre-K, and I believe it should be administered in an affordable and responsible way, and should include a mixed delivery system that leverages all sources of revenue: federal, state, parental, private, to achieve our goal. Second, and I've been saying this from the very beginning of this unprecedented journey that I'm on, I too want Indiana to strive to have the nation's very best K-12 educational system, the very best. For instance, right now we are ranked 7th highest, we have the 7th highest graduation rate in the country. That's great. So now how do we get to 6, and then 5, and then 4, and so on until we get to the top? We can and we should take a big step by aligning public and private STEM education efforts and enhancing STEM curriculum in every high school, every Hoosier school, even looking toward junior high schools, a priority, also maintaining a strong focus on vocational, career, and technical education. We can and we should limit as many barriers as possible. I want to incentivize school districts to partner with other districts, state colleges, and local businesses to increase opportunities for students to enroll in rigorous classes and internships during school that will help them succeed in life after high school. Where this is already implemented, it's working, and we need more of these industry-specific collaborative efforts throughout the entire state. Everywhere I go, everywhere, employers are calling for more of these type partnerships, from the building trades to Cook Pharmaceutical. We can and we should retain and recruit more great teachers. We know there's a teacher shortage here in Indiana and nationally, and we need to get about doing something about it. We will work to attract the very best of this prestigious profession of teaching by treating educators as professionals, as I said earlier, and equipping them with the resources and autonomy needed to succeed in the classroom. In fact, we should compensate our outstanding teachers in a manner that incentivizes all to stay in the classroom and ensure the voices of all the educators are part of that policy conversation. After all, those of you in this room and the teachers back in your district are the very closest to our students and know firsthand how to best improve student achievement and reward outstanding teachers. So we need to be communicating regularly. We can and we should ensure that all students, especially those with the greatest needs, are funded adequately, continuing to increase funding for special needs students and English language learners for districts across the state. We can and we should end the over-testing. Over-testing is counterproductive because it forced teachers to teach to the test and at times caused students to lose interest in actual learning, something I have never supported, for the record. Annual tests need to assess capacity and reflect what a student has and has not learned during a school year. We need a shorter test with quicker results, so it is meaningful. So it is meaningful to the student, to the parents, and to the schools. Also moving forward, Indiana must remain a national leader in A through F accountability that is transparent to all stakeholders, simple, and continues to place value on student growth, not just based on one's performance on a test or tests. We have to maintain that not only does yearly accountability need to be understood, but it has to continue to allow teachers and schools to understand how to continue to raise the bar, even when we are good. Just as in life, we can always strive to be better. Hoosier students deserve nothing less. And finally, we're also going to protect the rights of Hoosier parents to choose the best educational setting for their child's individual needs through strong support of an educational ecosystem where public, private, charter, home, etc., can all work in tandem. And after high school, when that student experiences their last day in your township, in many respects, they are just beginning down their new path to hopefully an inspiring next station in life, whether it be more schooling, accreditation, or the first day in their new career. For all those who seek higher education, we're going to work with our world-class university presidents and trustees to slow the growth of tuition and other costs in order to make that route more affordable. And we will continue to support the efforts of the Indiana Commission on Higher Education to develop and disseminate a new college value index so that Hoosier families and high school guidance counselors clearly know the value of education that a student intends to pursue when they are planning their next important steps. As I mentioned last week when we announced our economic development plan, my top goal was to retain, recruit, and train talent here in Indiana. And a large part, the success of that plan will be developing a 21st century ready workforce. Whether a student wants to work in the local town factory or they want to create the next iPhone, I want them to do it here in Indiana, and I want to make sure they know they can at a very early age. But for those long past those early stages, for those seeking to refine their skills, we will seek to give every individual returning to the workforce a chance to build skills aligned with Indiana's current labor needs and task all workforce training providers to establish and monitor metrics of performance and reward those who meet and or exceed their targets in serving the hardest to serve and those with the most significant barriers to reentry. You Can Go Back. YouCanGoBack.com is a relatively new Indiana program, somewhat unique, designed to connect the hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers looking to go back to school after starting but not finishing a degree, and upgrade those skills that they lack to meet tomorrow's workforce demands. Our universities, whether online at WGU or Ivy Tech or our other public and private schools, they have all stepped up and are waiting. Now we need to take them up on their offer. And knowing we are going to have to replace 1 million workers over the next decade, the business community, the educational community, and the Department of Workforce Development must all work together to help get those on the sideline back in the game, feeding their families and fueling our economy all along the way. This is a long and an ambitious list of ideas and goals, I know. And this is our duty, to strive for the best, to always focus on the future, and to work together to do what's best for our students and for those who shape them into productive citizens. I've never set sail in search of lonely victories, and I'm not about to start now. So I look forward to working with you and your expertise as we take Indiana to the next level. Thank you, and now I'm ready to take some notes.
And if you would agree with me, I think you've already touched pretty much on the first question especially, which is about teacher shortage and how you would deal with that. You agree?
I think your questions were central to my plan going forward before we even got the questions, so
yes.
I'm sorry to be redundant.
No. What I would like to do, and I heard, and I think a lot of people heard something in regards to the voucher charter schools and so forth. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that and your opinion of those?
Yes. At my very foundation, I think that parents can best determine where their child can meet their needs, and they ought to be able to have the ability to do that, regardless of their zip code. And so therefore, I think that the menu of different options that we have here in the state of Indiana need to be supported, that there needs to be options. They should not compete against one another, they should complement one another. So I'll continue down that path.
Okay, and I think we also saw and heard, because as you've said, you've built in some of this into your statements.
Sure.
What is the best way to address accountability and assessments in schools?
Well, I support the A through F system and recognize the current changes. I'm looking forward to seeing the letter grades for the 2015-16 school year that will be released. This new model is obviously student-centered, which I think is an absolute must, placing greater emphasis on the individual student's growth compared to the just basing it on a test. So I think when it comes to accountability, that is a path we, again, need to continue down.
Okay, and last, how would you approach the issue of adequacy and equity in school funding?
Well, I do believe that the dollar should follow the child, but I'm obviously open to conversation on how to continually improve on that system. I mentioned a couple areas in the plan that will require more funding for students in need. And so while I do believe that the dollar should follow the child, completely open to more conversation and further conversation on how best to tweak and improve our system.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for your remarks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, President Wilson.